Are you ready? Are you sitting down?
The Schein on Podcast.
The Schein on Podcast.
The Schein on Podcast, Season 5.
We're going to pull back the curtain on the divorce process. It's fun, insightful, tremendous guests. They're topics that far too often many people shy away from. But not here on the Schein on Podcast.
It's episode 92 of the Schein on Podcast. I'm Evan Schein. Fall is here. The air is crisp. The pumpkin spice lattes, they're flowing. And Dave, your Patriots, they're back. Drake May looks like Tom Brady.
I know, man. I apologize to all of America that you're going to have to deal with the Patriots again, hopefully for a while.
It's been 5 years. I mean, I welcome that conversation. I mean, the only conversation we're used to having lately about Tom Brady is about him and Giselle. So I welcome the conversation. And look, I'm a Giants fan. Yep. And so, I mean, you know how I feel about the Patriots and watching them dominate and win for over 20 years. It was a nice break. But the Patriots are back and things are buzzing up in Boston.
I'm just surprised you're not wearing a Cam Scattaboo jersey today.
You know, I thought about it.
That guy's taking the city by storm, yeah.
And I got to tell you, the Giants found their quarterback of the future. Jackson Dart looks absolutely brilliant. The energy, the enthusiasm, obviously losing Malik Neighbors was a huge blow, but the Giants found their guy.
I know. It's exciting. It's one of the things that makes fall great. Yes, the weather's getting colder, and we're all breaking out our sweaters and annoyed, but football, man. There's nothing like football season.
No, and Dave, you know what else makes fall great?
What's that?
Your birthday. You know, and I got to tell you, a big happy birthday to you. I know you recently celebrated a birthday, and I have to tell you, the older you get, the better looking you become. You look phenomenal. I mean, what's the secret? What is the producer Dave recipe to aging? So I got to tell you, you look great.
Thank you, Evan. Yeah. Well, I recall a skit by John Belushi, classic SNL skit way back when he was giving his secrets of fitness, and it was little chocolate donuts. Every morning, just a few chocolate donuts. That's all it takes. That's all it takes.
All it takes. And Dave, I got to tell you, I am fired up for today's episode. We have a great episode today and a fantastic Schein on Podcast guest spot. I'm joined by relationship specialist Dr. Rachel Glik, who discusses her book, A Soulful Marriage, a guide for couples seeking to strengthen and heal their relationships. We dive into misconceptions about love, and the episode concludes with a fun segment spearheaded by you, producer Dave, where we get into all sorts of quotes from Pablo Picasso to the Dalai Lama, where we have some fun with Rachel Glik, where we talk about those quotes and her takes and her thoughts on everything that you put together. And I got to tell you, that segment's great. And you know what else is great? The Docket. So I know you have something fantastic prepared, a really insightful news article that the two of us are going to dissect. So as you always do, let's fire it up.
Here we go.
And now, let's see what's on the docket.
Just one item on the docket this week, Evan, but it's a good one. News story comes to us from BusinessInsider.com. Article by Josie Cox. Headline, Plight of the Trophy Husband. And as Josie Cox writes, there are troubling reasons why divorce rates go up when women earn more. Provocative. Your thoughts, Evan?
Dave, I got to tell you, I thought this was a brilliant article by Josie Cox, and I see this in my practice, and I'm seeing it more and more. And the question is, what happens to the marriage when the wife earns more than the husband? But I'm going to take it a step further, right? What happens in divorce when the wife earns more than her husband? How does this play out financially, but emotionally? You talk about an emotionally charged, an emotional situation where you have the wife earning more than the husband, right? And there's really two ways this can go, right? There was either an understanding at the time people were married that this was the expectation, these were our respective roles and responsibilities, and then over time, there was this built up resentment that just continued. And regardless of the understanding at the time people were married, that understanding slowly eroded and faded away. Or the other option is this wasn't the understanding. And then something happened during the marriage. The wife got a fantastic job, entrepreneur, started a business, and she substantially out earns her husband. And it wasn't the understanding. And what conflict is created by that? And those are the two different scenarios. And I see it all the time playing out in the ending of marriages. And I see it play out in divorce. And to me, something that is so important, and we've talked about this on the podcast, is working with a therapist, working with a marriage counselor, working with a financial coach, working with someone to really talk through these issues that come up both in the beginning of marriage and also during the marriage. Because when you don't do that, we've seen how this plays out in divorce.
Absolutely. It's needless to say, a source of tension in couples that have that situation. I mean, are you at all surprised, though, that this remains a thing, given that, over time, these patterns, these stereotypes are supposed to fade away. And, men should feel a lot more comfortable in their own skin, no matter how much they earn.
So it's a great question. Am I surprised? No. Should it exist? No. I mean, look, I don't think there should be any stigma associated with divorce. And I think over the last 20, 30 years, I think that has, I think that stigma is not nearly there like it was many, many years ago, but it still exists. The same thing for prenuptial agreements. Should it be there? No. Is it there? To an extent, it is. And I think this falls in line with those two things. Is it surprising? To me, absolutely not, because of what I do and I see it in the world we live in and the society we live in, and everything going on in the world, and women working outside the home, and success and business and income and entrepreneurship and everything. Absolutely, it doesn't shock me, but I still think it's there. And I see it playing a role in the ending of marriages, expectations, conflict, and how people divorce. I mean, are you surprised it's still there?
No, I mean, I think we've come a long way, but not surprised it's still there. It's, as much as we like to think stereotypes disappear, they don't always. They linger. We know this. We're still fighting them.
One of the things I will say, and I want to get your take on this, the concept of alimony, right, is when there's a disparity between income. Generally, one spouse, and there's obviously exceptions, but one spouse might need to pay spousal support, alimony to the less moneyed spouse. And historically, it was much more common. Again, I'm generalizing, but in the past, it was much more common that the husband would pay the wife support. I'm seeing many successful women who are out earning their husbands, and this is what the article talks about, have to pay support given the disparity. But there is that tremendous resistance and feeling of, I can't believe I'm paying you spousal support, right? But if the role was reversed, right, how do you sort of see that dynamic playing out?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you've seen it happen, right? And I don't know but you can tell me whether you think husbands are less aggressive in pursuing this money, given that they sort of have to admit that, she's the breadwinner. But, I don't know. Like you say, in a perfect world, the genders wouldn't even matter. The
facts are the facts.
Right. So, yeah.
But it's interesting. And what I loved about the article was that it really gets into these important issues that are often not talked about, but they're real and how they present themselves, both with respect to issues in the marriage and also how things play out in a divorce, which is something that I see. Let me ask you, because I know a lot of people who are divorced, and I think
Sure.
a few people are going through the process. Are you seeing this scenario play out?
I'm trying to think of
that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of an example. I mean, I can think of a few couples where the wife is definitely the primary breadwinner. But as far as I know, their marriages are okay. The ones that I know, but you know, it's like a lot of things for every couple that, you know, says it's 2025. You know, let's leave gender out of it. This is about numbers. This is about coming to an agreement where we can both be supported into the future, as well as whether there's kids or whatnot.
And you never really know what goes on behind closed doors. You know, even the couples
true.
that you mentioned, you know, it's they seem perfectly happy, and as you know, it's perfectly happy on the outside is sometimes not the reality of what's happening inside the home.
That's right, and that keeps you in business, Evan. Quite frankly,
that it does.
All right, Evan, if you're ready, we're going to move on to everyone's favorite segment: overrated, underrated.
Let's do it.
Overrated.
Or underrated.
Got a few items today for overrated, underrated. Couple of legal or divorce related topics, and then a few fun ones too. First one, rebound relationships. So I'm sure in your work, Evan, you see plenty of people getting divorced. And what's sometimes right around the corner is that rebound relationship, which everyone cautions people against, and they continue to rebound right into it. Your thoughts, overrated or underrated?
Dave, I'm going to go underrated. Look, I love the rebound relationship, right? And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why.
Hot take.
Divorce, it's a process, right? And for so many people, there's that fear of the future. There's the uncertainty. What life's going to look like? Am I ever going to date again? Am I ever going to find love again? Now, I'm not saying you should jump back into a serious relationship. So when I read this, right, I'm saying it's good to get back out there. It's good to get back out there and know that a whole new world exists outside of the relationship and marriage you were just in. I'm saying you can date. I'm saying see what you like, see what you don't like, right? Would I get back into a serious relationship? Absolutely not, right? However, I think there's different versions of a rebound relationship, different layers of a rebound relationship. I think picking yourself up after a divorce, starting that process to heal, to move forward, and believe in yourself and believe that there's going to be that second act, that there's going to be that next chapter. And part of that is getting out there and putting yourself out there. Again, you don't need to find love on the first date, but I think taking those steps, one step at a time, putting one foot in front of the other and getting back out there and seeing what exists and starting the dating process, I think is important. It's not for everybody, but I think it can only help in terms of moving, you know, yourself forward after a divorce process. And for those reasons, it's underrated.
Underrated.
I like that. New take on rebound relationships. Let's get the stigma off of rebound relationships. All right, second topic for overrated, underrated, co-parenting and digital apps. Now, for me, this is a new phenomenon. I'm sure they've been around for years, but I've been divorced for a while, and my ex and I did not use anything digital to handle our co-parenting. But your thoughts on co-parenting and digital apps? Overrated? Underrated?
Absolutely underrated, Dave. I love a good digital app. And again, there's some that are absolutely fantastic. The reason I love it is because especially in a high conflict relationship where someone could use email or text message to harass or to annoy your ex-spouse, right? When you have a digital app, every communication is going through the app. You get notifications, you can submit receipts, you can upload the kids' schedules. Everything takes place in that app. And as an attorney, if we need to go back to court, if we need to go back and address something and modify something and force something, all that is evidence, and we can use those communications, we can use those receipts, we can use those requests for reimbursements and use that as evidence and exhibits going forward if we need to address something. But it's one streamlined process where all the communication takes place. And obviously, look, if there's emergencies, you can text and you can call, but especially in high conflict relationships, I am a big believer, a big fan of the digital app in co-parenting. Again, especially when there's high conflict. And for those reasons, it's underrated.
Underrated.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, any lawyer worth their salt always tells people, divorce law or otherwise, make sure you document everything. Because, if a party's disorganized and they can claim all they want, you're going to be a lot better armed if you've got documentation. And it's cool that an app is helping people do that now.
Well, that's the thing, because otherwise it is such a gigantic task to ask someone to do it. But now you have an app that allows you to communicate within the app, keep the evidence, keep the records, upload schedules for the kids. And if someone doesn't respond to what you upload, everything's there. It's easy to prove. There's no he said, she said.
Mm. Next item on overrated, underrated, board games. Oh, this could be a polarizing. You be careful, Evan, because I happen to be a huge game guy. So if they're overrated, you got to let me down easy. But board games, overrated or underrated?
Underrated. I love a good board game. I am a big fan of a good board game, and I got 2 young kids, so board games are back in my life. And when it comes to Chutes and Ladders, and when it comes to Candyland, and it comes to Unicorn Monopoly, which I spent the weekend playing, Dave, I'm as good as they get. I am skilled in those games. A good board game is absolutely great. I don't think board games get enough love. It's great to hear that you love them as well. A good board game is underrated.
Underrated. I love it.
Underrated.
Yeah, sometimes when you become grown-ups, you forget how much fun you had playing board games as a kid. But I love, you're going to have a couple's night, have a board game night. It's just something to do. And God forbid you've got some guests that are on the boring side. Rather than, have Stu over there explain to you about how his accounting practice is going. Play a game.
That's the thing. Nobody wants to keep talking to Stu. Take out the board, take out Monopoly, and that's it. Pour Stu a glass of red wine, a scotch, and that's it. That's it. Let the board game do the talking instead of listening to Stu from down the block. You got it.
That's right. Next item. And the nation has been waiting to have Evan Schein's take on this one. Reality TV dating shows. Some say the scourge of the entertainment world. Other people love them. And there's no shortage of them now. Seemingly there hasn't been for a decade, but they're stronger now than ever. Reality TV dating shows, overrated or underrated?
So, Dave, I'm going to admit something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guilty of watching them. With that said, they're overrated. They're garbage. They're terrible. They stink. I watch them because my wife has them on the TV, and it allows me to watch something together with her. And she thinks I'm glued to what's going on in this season of The Bachelor, Bachelor in Paradise, but I'm doing work in the background. And here's the thing. I think it sends a wrong message about love, about relationships, for a whole host of reasons. I know there have been success stories from all these things, but I think it is such a poor reflection of relationships for so many reasons. It's absolute garbage. But again, like many people, the millions of people out there, I'm guilty of watching them.
Well, I think
Overrated.
I think your verdict is sound, Your Honor. I wish we could get rid of them, but I'm afraid they're here to stay. Yeah, and people like them. Fine. I'm going to click away if I can. The one of the most, I don't know if distasteful is the word. Weird is definitely a word for it. Married at First Sight. One season took place in Boston, so I watched it with some interest. And it's just what it sounds like. They match people up, and then the very beginning of the show, they get married, and then see if the marriage can last. So you might support that one, Evan, as a divorce lawyer, because many of them do end up getting divorced. But the thought of yeah.
Well, I want to ask you a question about it. Would you, the whole premise that you can go on these shows and find love, find your significant other, is there something about that hook that for a moment you put yourself in the position of all the people, thousands of people who apply and audition to be one of the 30 people selected?
Mm-hmm.
Could you see it? Or
Yeah.
is it one of those things that your life is on such public display and the aftermath, whether you go back to work, whatever, I mean, there is no returning to normalcy, whatever that looks like.
Yeah, I mean, my thought is, of course you can. Of course, it's possible to find true love on a TV show because it's possible to find true love anywhere, right? So a TV show is a different way of doing it. That comes with the caveat that the things that happen on these shows are not quote unquote real in the sense the world that most of us live in. With the cameras rolling, it's painfully obvious that many of these shows are not quite scripted, but planned for sure.
Exactly.
And
right.
they can reshoot
people
things.
are record. Yeah, people are recorded, and the producers prompt you to say certain
Oh
things.
yeah.
I
For
can
sure.
see you on Bachelor in Paradise, though.
No, what's the old guy one?
Dave, you're not that old. The golden years?
No, it's called the Golden Bachelor or the Senior. I forget what it's called.
Dave, don't pretend like you don't know the name of the episode.
Yeah, well, So Discovery TV or the Lifetime Network, whichever runs those shows. Give me a ring. Who knows? Maybe we'll make it happen. Finally, I said reality dating shows. The nation needed to know Evan's take on that, but we've saved the best for last. Yes, pumpkin spice. Pumpkin spice everything. Now's the season. It just kicked off, and you can't walk out of your house without stepping in a puddle of pumpkin spice in one way or another. Your thoughts, Evan, on the very polarizing issue of pumpkin spice everything?
I am all about it. Underrated. Wow. I want pumpkin spice anything and everything all year round. I drink the pumpkin spice Kool-Aid. You know what? If there was a pumpkin spice Kool-Aid, I would drink it. I love the latte. I love the coffee. I love the chocolate pumpkin flavor. Pumpkin spice anything. I'm in. I'll put pumpkin spice on top of pumpkin spice. It's great. It to me, it's all about the fall, but I drink it, Dave, all year round. There's nothing like going into my local coffee place and asking for a pumpkin spice latte. I got to tell you, it never gets old.
And you can get it there year round because, certain franchises make a big deal about it's only available for. I'm with you. If you like it, why be confined to one season?
That's it. And it's great. And you know what? It makes people happy. You ever look at someone after they drink a pumpkin spice latte? They're smiling. They feel good. I love pumpkin spice latte.
All right. Underrated. Hashtag free pumpkin spice year round. Let's do it.
Are you navigating the challenges of divorce and feeling overwhelmed? You're not alone. And you don't have to go through it alone. You should get in touch with Rhonda Nordegg, financial divorce advocate, where it's all about you. Rhonda helps women transform what can feel like the most difficult time into a journey of empowerment. As a certified financial analyst, Rhonda is committed to guiding women to make confident financial decisions, negotiate effectively, and be positioned to leave a legacy well beyond the divorce process. She has not only helped over 1,000 women that trusted her, but also helped move $25 million into the hands of women that otherwise would have been left on the table. She'll even help you find the right attorney, support you in managing conflict productively, and give you the tools to advocate for yourself. Connect with her today at womensfinancialwellnesscenter.com, because your divorce experience should lead to a stronger, happier you.
Have you ever had a baking oops turn into something delicious? Well, that's exactly what happened with Muffin Crumbles, the dessert that's part muffin, part magic, and all mouth-watering fun. The amazing bakers at Muffin Crumbles take perfectly crumbled muffins, yes, crumbled on purpose, add fluffy homemade whipped cream, and top it all off with delicious extras. It's like a dessert party in a box. And the best part, no rules. Just pure dessert freedom. Spoon it, fork it, or mix it all up. You do you. Perfect for treating yourself, gifting a friend, or just making snack time way more fun. So grab your spork and order your Muffin Crumbles kit now at muffincrumbles.com. That's muffincrumbles.com, because sometimes the best things come from happy accidents.
On this week's episode of the Schein podcast, I'm joined by relationship specialist Dr. Rachel Glik. Dr. Glik has counseled individuals, couples, and families in private practice for over 30 years. She's the author of the newly released book, A Soulful Marriage, a guide for couples seeking to strengthen and heal their relationships. Dr. Glik, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
It's great to have you on. And I want to start by diving into your book, which was released this year. Tell us about the process for you writing the book and what was the inspiration behind it?
Love those questions. So I'll start with the inspiration. The inspiration really started with within my own marriage. We've been married for 37 years, and a couple years in, I was faced with a stunning experience because I never expected it to happen where I didn't feel connected to my husband. I had doubts. I didn't know what was going on. And that's really started a process of soul searching. And I remember actually drawing on a trip we went on, drawing a like pie chart, trying to figure out what makes life fulfilling and meaningful. Like what is going on here? I thought this was so it really started with, and that together we really did some digging and exploring. And there's so much of what's in the book is a result of some of what, like we were the laboratory in a sense. And then now we're wanting to share it with others. But then on top of that, being a therapist in the process of this, I developed a specialty in couples. The universe just kept sending to me. I just, didn't even expect it. So then it was meeting couple after couple for decades that I just felt this yearning that more people need to have access to tools, ideas, consciousness, practical approaches that can make such a difference. You can have such a better relationship. And there's so many trainable skills in a relationship that are just not trained.
And Rachel, you mentioned your own experience in your own marriage and sort of what inspired you. It sounds like you had a partner and a spouse who was willing to work on things with you. How hard is it in a marriage or a relationship if there's only one person who is committed to advancing the marriage and putting in the work that we all know is what marriage is what's necessary?
Yes, it's really hard to work with that. I'll be honest. The desire to be in the relationship, the desire to grow is such a fundamental component of how far you'll go together and in your own life. But there still are things that you can do if your spouse or partner doesn't seem to be very interested in talking about the relationship, doing anything that would help advance themselves or the relationship. You can still first start with working on becoming the better and better version of yourself, and how you can be a better partner. And it's not going to be fair even initially, but it can start to create a foundation where there's just a better environment, and it can start to rub off where the other might feel inspired or feel like the changes that they're seeing happening, and then might then be open to like some small shifts that you can find in their language that might help you grow closer. So it can take some finesse. And for some, it just, if they really have the desire to grow and somebody isn't interested in growing, then it can be a deal breaker in the relationship. It's something that I suggest people asking when they are considering forming a lifetime commitment with someone, to get a feel for how open they are to growing. It's that fundamental.
What did you learn about yourself during the process of writing the book?
I was reminded of how much creativity is essential for me. that just the process of not knowing how something was going to go, and then it just started to unfold. And that was just, and I felt a connection to my source, to what I called like the creator. Like I just felt a connection. So that I learned. And I think this chapter on sex, I did more research on that than some of the other chapters. And because I wanted to write about it really intelligently and not just like a lot of it corroborated the experience I have with couples, experience I have as a married person. But I learned I learned by digging into some research in that particular one.
And let me ask you about the chapter and about sex in general. Could a marriage survive with a total lack of physical intimacy?
Well, it depends how you define a marriage. Like everybody has to do relationships the way they want to.
Sure.
But it's a very limited relationship in my perspective. And there's lots of reasons why that could happen, except for some are medical reasons, some are trauma reasons. Like it's not to judge anyone where that's really, but I find it to be a very important communication between partners. And not only for the level of closeness and sharing of energy and desire to give pleasure to each other, but also it has the potential to really add love and unity to the world. So I see it as really important. And just often there's an easy path to take because it's a lot harder for many couples to keep that part active. It's not as easy as it was at the beginning, and as you get older, different things start changing. And so I kind of keep that foundational concept that it's important. Then giving leeway for each individual couple, but trying to inspire to see what they can do to reintegrate that into their relationship. And if there's a barrier, to explore what those barriers are about and what's making it so that they can't get over that. I call it the wall, where there may be just a wall they can't get past.
Rachel, let's talk love. Give us something that you believed about love in your 20s that now makes you shake your head.
Oh, that's such a good question. It's the very thing that I realized in the very beginning of my marriage when everything was starting to, crumble in front of me, is that I had a concept of love that was actually need. I thought love was need. Yes, I absolutely had pure love for my husband at that time. I just loved him, wanted him to be happy, wanted the best for him. But I was very dependent on my sense of self, my security, my sense of excitement for life. I was way too dependent on him for my own happiness. That's pillar one, is responsibility, where we're each responsible for our own happiness and well-being. That's pillar one. So that came out of a misconception of what love is. That love is actually, what I've learned, is something that you awaken as something you add to the relationship, not as much about what you take in the relationship. And we often and I studied my husband and I started studying the wisdom of Kabbalah soon after. Well, no, it was about 10, 15 years into our exploring journey. But that's where I first learned that concept in such a crystal clear way, is that love and need are two different things. And need has an expiration date. If you aren't getting your needs met, that was happening for me with my husband, is couldn't understand why I wasn't having that feeling, is because I was externally focused on getting something and taking something from the relationship. And love is a verb. It's something where you invest into the relationship, and then it has perpetuity.
You've counseled couples for decades. Just listening to what you're saying about love and about figuring things out, are there things that, as you think back to your own marriage, if you had the benefit of working with a couples therapist, whether it's even before marriage, from an expectation perspective on what marriage is and what do we expect from our spouse or partner, how much do you think that would have helped you, and how much of your work is in really the early stages of marriages with the people that you work with?
I think it would have given me a whole different paradigm.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I don't know how ready I was yet. I was young and immature. Like some are young and immature. I was young and immature, but I was very self-focused. I was just, I had never felt like, as confident about myself, being the youngest with older brothers. So I was just really milking the gratification that I was getting out of being my husband's wife, and being, so I would put too much on him. So some of it was developmental. But I think if I had been fed concepts and truths and kind of warnings and protections from the get-go, then it may have helped me to not feel so lost, and I could have perhaps prevented some of the pain that we went through together. Yeah. That's why I wrote it. I mean, I'm writing as much for people who are in the middle of a struggle as I am for writing it for people who are not even in a relationship and really young, or people who are just starting out or getting divorced. Like, people are finding, when they read the book, they can understand what happened and what was missing. And so I just, I have a passion for trying to help young people understand how to listen. That's the first passion I have, is we are not trained in how to listen.
Nope.
And the second is what it takes to make a long-lasting love, fulfilling and lasting, not just one or the other. And that is really, it's just, there's so many misconceptions about love and long-term relationships.
That's one of the things I love about the book, A Soulful Marriage. It appeals to so many people, whether you're young or whether you've been married for 10, 15 years or going through a divorce. Mm-hmm. And I want to ask you, what do you find to be the number one lie that we tell ourselves about relationships?
That is so good to pick the number one. I think that we lie to ourselves by thinking we need to change our partner, and that's the problem, is something that they need to change that is not changing. And it's on the material, in the material world, in the five senses, the very thing that you want to change is likely true, likely something that's valid. But the approach, which is pillar two of a whole change in mindset and consciousness, is we want to embrace those things we wish we could change and see them more as the gift for us. That the things that are easy to love are really the gift wrapping, and the things that are hard to love are the gift, because that's what helps us change as people. And we think we're here to just satisfy our needs again, like I was saying earlier, but we're really here to transform. And that taste of transformation and becoming the better and better version of yourself together with your partner is what makes the love, elevates the love and makes it sweeter. That you're going to, together that you can support each other to become and let go of things that aren't serving you, and keep rising into who you can become. And that's so, you want to be addicted to that.
No, I love that. And look, as a divorce attorney, I see people all the time, and we'll go through the most intimate details of their lives, and they'll talk to me about what happened in the marriage. And so many times people will say to me, Evan, it wasn't just one thing. We simply fell out of love. So is that something that's real, or is it the result of years and years of neglecting meaningful connection?
Yes, I think it's a couple of things. One is I think it's a misconception about what love is, and just the falling in love is so passive.
Yep.
And it's the same view that it's just something that either you feel it or you don't. And no, you have to create it. You have to create a space for love to dwell. And in the book, I call it a sanctuary. You create a sanctuary together, and it does require investment and energy. And pillar three is priority, where you make each other the most important other person in your life, and in a way that they know it. Doesn't mean you're codependent and you're like enmeshed with each other, but there's a difference between enmeshment and truly treasuring someone and knowing that you are cherished, and making sure that you're putting enough time and energy into learning about what that looks like for them, and spending enough quality time and enough focus and prioritizing of each other and the relationship, that it doesn't atrophy. And that's very difficult to do. It's the thing our relationship is the thing we think that's on the side to support us with everything else we want to do. And we forget that we have to take care of the boat itself. Let's say we think of it as it's going to take us somewhere, but then we neglect the boat and it gets holes in it, and we put holes in our partner's side, but then we both go down.
So what's the answer? Is it to fix the boat earlier, to recognize the cracks are there? Like, what is the secret sauce to fixing that boat? And again, I love that analogy, before it sinks.
The sooner you can catch when something doesn't feel right and you don't feel close and connected, or you have anger, or you see that if this keeps happening, what's going to happen in 3 years, that kind of thing. It takes, one or both, but often it's just one of the partner who is monitoring the relationship. How are we doing? Are we checking in with each other? Do we feel loved? Are there things that are what I call like triangles or like invaders that get in between us? And do we have to, so I just think every time is a good time. And often the research shows that it's usually 6 years after being unhappy do people finally seek counseling. Partly why I wrote the book is to also, for those who aren't going to counseling, the first thing they usually do is look for a book.
Yep.
And I'm trying to, to inspire people who might normally think to go to counseling, that maybe there's more they can do in their relationship to prevent a problem, and or to make it even, or fix a problem or heal, or to realize how much more they could have in their relationship that they're not capitalizing on, that it's just like wasted. It's like not using all the functions. I know I don't use all the functions on my computer or my phone, I just do the basics. But in your relationship, there's so many functions, there's so many things that exist that we don't tap into, and so many levels of depth and levels of joy and laughter and opportunity and purpose you can find in your relationship. And so I think it's any time you can to be conscious of how you can take care of yourself in the boat. That's pillar one, is you taking care of you as a boat member, and how you then take a look at how you're are you navigating the boat well together, and the boat itself, are we nourishing it?
And Rachel, you said we have a lot more control than we think. Mm-hmm. Where do you see in your practice people give up control without really knowing it? And how does that impact their relationship?
I would say that the extent to which two things: blaming, you give up your control because it's reactive,
No.
it's externalized, it's this is not anything I can do. It's just it's their fault, and it's just I hate this, or or how can I ever survive this lack of affection, or this way he talks to me, or not spending enough time together, or they're not helping in the house, whatever it is, like the blaming. And the second is a lack of appreciation. Is the other. We shoot ourselves in the foot without really being radically focused on the good.
You've integrated in your practice, and you talk about in the book, quantum physics and energy into your counseling and your approach. What's one concept that absolutely blows people's minds the most?
I guess from a quantum perspective, the idea that you can work on first transforming something in yourself, and that can hop over to awakening transformation in your partner and in the relationship in a way that is you can't predict, you can't explain very well. I'm listening to the Telepathy Tapes, which is a podcast about autistic children who are non-speaking and the way they're communicating. And so this last episode I was just listening on the way over is about quantum and how it's non-location, like two atoms that have once had a connection can be very, very far apart and they're still communicating with each other. So I think the idea that our consciousness, that what we're thinking, and if we're focusing on appreciation, if we're working on changing a quality in ourselves instead of changing the quality first thing in the other, that can have a quantum effect on then the quality of the connection and on even inspiring the other to elevate. If you work on elevating yourself, you're connected in the boat, so then the whole boat can go up. That's kind of back to your very first question: is what if somebody's not open to growing? That's back to that idea.
No, it's fascinating. And I want to ask about the institution of marriage. That is such a hot topic right now. Is the institution of marriage failing? Is it for everyone? Is it still relevant? So let me ask you, is marriage still as relevant, or should we as a society be rethinking the whole institution of marriage and what it means?
I am very much a proponent of marriage. The commitment is the issue. So, if you're in a long-term committed partnership, I feel like there's lots of ways to be in a committed relationship, but there's something about the legal commitment, the spiritual commitment in front of your friends, and, really making a vow. A vow is also quantum. It's an energy, a thought. From what I study in the wisdom of Kabbalah and quantum physics, thought is an energy. Words have an energy. So you've put an energy out there that you've made this vow. And I know it really was very important for my husband and I with where we went with when we were struggling. I know it was the commitment that helped me when I couldn't feel it anymore. When it was dark, it's very dark when you don't feel connected. It's terrifying. You're terrifying of living like that, for the rest of your life, and terrifying of what it might mean in your life. So I just find that the commitment also awakens, inspires more potential for growth, because we can't use the other parts of us that the ego likes, which is more comfort zone things of finding it elsewhere or, escapes. You have to face yourself in the relationship. And so the very thing you think you can't live with, if you really lean into it, you might find the biggest breakthrough ever for yourself, that actually it was about some kind of transformation you needed to make in yourself. And so without that commitment, it's easy to take the easy road with our own personal growth. And
that's really interesting.
Yeah. And then you also don't have the opportunity to see what life stages offer. Like we're in a stage now, married 37 years, been together 41. And to see to have all those chapters together. And believe me, if people have to, I'm not against divorce. I'm totally not against divorce. And a lot of times people have to go through journeys of relationships to really keep evolving in them. The idea is to just keep growing. But what I like about the institution of the commitment of marriage is that it gives you the chance to capitalize on riding through some waves in your life that you might find later stages that you might really appreciate that you have, that you wouldn't have held on to if it wasn't for the commitment.
If someone could only change one thing in their life starting tomorrow that would improve all their relationships, what would you tell them?
I would go back to pillar one, which is to really Start with your relationship with yourself. That includes not blaming others for your well-being or holding them responsible, but also learning to love yourself and see that you really on your own are whole and complete, and that you have so much to give to the world, so much light to share, so much that, and to be busy with how you can share that light instead of filling holes of what you perceive in illusionary sense or messages you got growing up or whatever society that make you feel like you are empty and not. So if you really were to realize your value, I think that would be a fundamental shift.
Rachel, tell us what it's like from all the people who you have heard from, who have read the book and the feedback and the comments. What's that like for you, knowing the difference that you've made and the impact that your book has made on so many people's lives?
It's truly one of the most heartwarming experiences I've ever had in my life. Like when the resonance, it's not about like, oh, you're good at this, you're good at that. It's just the expressing something that was very hard for me to write. It was just a lot of, I have ADHD, so my thoughts are always very expansive. So to narrow it in took so much mental strength for me. And to see that if I hadn't done it, there would be people who would be missing what's resonating with them to help them love themselves more, see that there's a path forward to have more love in their life, that it's not random. There's this organized system, and that's where you have more control than you realize. So I think I feel connected to the people. I feel connected to my soul because I feel like I'm doing what, I'm in part what I'm here to do. So I just feel very humble and small on the one hand, and then so full in my heart that it just feels like it just goes out of my body.
Oh, it's
You had to
fantastic.
explain it.
And
Yeah.
that's incredible. And Rachel, if you wrote another book after A Soulful Marriage, what topic would you cover? I know you mentioned soulful marriage based on experience
Mhm.
in your life. Is there another area or focus in your marriage or life that would interest you to write another book?
The other one, and it's based on the pain that I see in the world, tends to be the pain, what it is in your marriage when it's not going well is just so intense. But it would be relationships parents have with their adult children. There's a lot of estrangements, and a lot of tension, and it's a lot harder than we realize. That parenting, it's a parenting stage that can be very difficult and excruciating. And so I think trying to help heal those estrangements and help heal any kind of gap or rift, it would be to help people with a path. Because a lot of times it's a similar thing. It's just lack of understanding and awareness of why it's happened and the path of how you can repair it and the growth that comes to welcome it. Just like I am in the growth pillar, I encourage everyone, including myself, to embrace the times of conflict because it's here to help you grow. So similar with relationships with parents and their adult children.
Rachel, that's great. Rachel, I want to bring on producer Dave. And Dave, I want to turn it over to you for a fun segment we do on the podcast called They Said It.
Yes, indeed. I've been waiting patiently, and now is my big moment for They Said It. Let's do it.
They said it.
They said it.
They said it.
All right. In They Said It, we feature a couple of quotes from famous people, and then we're going to have Dr. Glik react to those quotes. First one comes to us from Pablo Picasso. He had the following to say: "The meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away." Dr. Glik, does that resonate with you or maybe not?
It's a bullseye.
Okay.
It's a bullseye. I
Tell us
love
why.
it. I love it. If I don't have it in the book, it was one of the options at the beginning of one of the chapters on purpose is that particular quote.
Tell us why it resonates with you.
Yes. So, it's an existential idea, and it's also a spiritual idea that we all matter and we all have a place here. And there's something we can endure a lot when we feel like it has meaning and purpose. And I find that a lot of people are missing that in their relationship and in their life. And every minute, every moment can have a purpose. It doesn't have to be some big, like one large thing. But it's the most fulfilling. It's like it really sums up the wisdom of Kabbalah, is that we're here to receive for the sake of sharing. So as we receive clarity around our purpose, it's so that we can enjoy the experience. Like we're here to enjoy what it's like to share. Sharing is like the ultimate fulfillment. So the journey of finding that purpose, and it's constantly evolving. And then without sharing it, if it doesn't involve sharing, then it won't sing for you. It won't reach those places deep inside.
I find that it's sometimes to be literally true, and I'm not the best gift giver, but there's nothing better than when you see something in a store or something and you're like, you know what, I'm going to get that for Tracy, or I'm going to get that for Bob. He loves those sort of things. And then to be able to give that gift to someone, even if it's just a little something to let you know that you were thinking of them, very rewarding. Better than getting gifts, I think. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's that's a perfect example. Yeah.
One more quote from They Said It. This one comes to us from the 14th Dalai Lama, which I believe is the current Dalai Lama, but I'm not necessarily up on all my lamas. He had the following to say: happiness is not something ready-made. It comes from your own actions. Your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, well, that's another bullseye. It fits right in line with the idea that our actions create a vessel for happiness to come in. And same in the relationship, like how much we are giving, how much we are investing in the relationship, or investing in ourselves, or investing in something by even sometimes bold actions, just taking an action and not focusing on the outcome. It creates a vessel for the happiness to come in. It's in the process, not in and that it doesn't come to you. It's really something you choose and you create.
I mean, sometimes I feel like the sort of friendly rebuttal there would be that sometimes bad things happen and it's okay to feel bad about them, but it's how you respond to those things. In other words, it's like you can't necessarily walk up to somebody and say, "Why aren't you in a good mood?" Be in a good mood right now. Just turn it on. Well, you might not be able to be in a good mood that moment, but you can still explore things that make you happy and pursue things and say, you know what, I've always wanted to take guitar lessons. Maybe I'll do that. And I granted that's a little different than what you're saying about a relationship.
No, but your point is very important, because it's got to be about balance. We're human beings. We're not robots. So you don't want to bypass what it is to have the human experience. So if something's making you sad, you need to be with it and listen to it and embrace it. And some things have a whole different category of real pain, of real loss or of real tragedy. And that's a whole different discussion. But there's still so much of we miss on how much we have control over creating our happiness. And like you said, by how we respond to things and what we do that is proactive once we notice that we're not happy. The default is to think that it's a result of something. And it is. Like, it's nice when things happen that make you happy, but ultimately long-term happiness is how you approach whatever you face.
I think that's right. I was at a wedding once, and the father of the bride said, as part of his spiel, he said, life is really a series of sad moments and happy moments. This is definitely a happy moment. Let's all enjoy it. And I said to myself, he's right. And this is happy. Look around. Everyone's happy. Why not? Why not? Choose happiness.
Yeah.
Yes. Very good. That'll wrap it up for They Said It. And Evan, back to you to close things up.
Dave, that was great. And Dr. Glik, I tell you, this was a blast. I appreciate you coming on the podcast. Your book, A Soulful Marriage, a must read. Thank you for coming on. Tell everybody listening where they can get in touch and where they could pick up a copy of your book.
Well, first of all, I really enjoyed talking with you, and your questions are really very deep and make you really think, and appreciate that very much. That you can, on my website, I have a page. My website is Dr. Rachel Glik, DrRachel_Glik. And I have a book tab, and there's like 5 different places where you can order the book, on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, some local places. It's not all the places is available or listed there, but some of the core places are listed there. So
Great.
Yeah. And Fantastic. I hope you enjoy it and share it. Even a lot of people are giving it to people who get married, or, it's a nice gift too. So
absolutely. Well, I want to thank you for coming on. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you for having me.
Dave, what a show. Episode 92 of the podcast. That was absolutely fantastic. Great docket, great overrated, underrated segment, and absolutely brilliant guest spot with Dr. Rachel Glik, author of the book A Soulful Marriage, a guide for couples seeking to strengthen and heal their relationships. You can listen to this episode and all episodes of the Schein podcast wherever you get your podcast. I'm Evan Schein, and I'll talk to you real soon.